Hey guys, Miss Faison, time to learn your lesson for today. Today is August 29th, 2016. And we're actually going to continue learning about solving equations. I decided that we should take it a step backwards and go a little bit slower to make sure that everyone knows how to solve equations. So that's what we're going to do today. So my content is again solving multi-step equations. I am on page 5 in my notebook. So I'm going to give you guys some steps to solve multi-step equations, because that way, if you know the order you should be going in, you shouldn't have too much difficulty actually completing the action. So, steps. Steps for solving multi-step equations. Alright, there's going to be 5 steps. First one, eliminate parentheses. Then combine like terms. Next, get your variable to one side. After you get your variables to one side, then you're going to add or subtract. Finally, multiply or divide. Am I going to always use all of these steps? No, you're definitely not. But today we'll practice a couple of problems so you can see when to use them. So, for example 1, we're going to do 2 plus 5k equals 3k minus 6. If you read your first step, it said eliminate parentheses. Well, obviously there's no parentheses, so let's go to the next step. Combine like terms. When I say combine like terms, I mean look on one side of the equal sign and see if there are any like terms. For instance, if there was another set of k on this left side of the equal sign, that would be a like term. But since there's not, let's move on to the next step. Get your variables to one side. Notice here I have a 3k and a 5k. I want to get them to the same side, and in order to do that, I typically like to move my smaller variable, which is the 3k. So in order to do that, notice that the 3k is positive, so always do the opposite. So this time I'm going to subtract 3k from both sides of the equal sign. Always what you do to one side of the equal sign, you have to do to the other side as well. So if I'm going to do that, then I would have 2, and then 5k minus 3k is 2k. So 2 plus 2k equals negative 6. At this point, you can notice that we're going to move to the next step, to add or subtract. When you add or subtract, you always find a number that's not next to the variable. So right now, we have 2k, so we're not going to subtract 2k, we're going to subtract that 2. And what you do to one side of the equal sign, you have to do to the other side. So I have 2k equals negative 8. If you're very confused about your negatives, always think of it as a number line. If I start at negative 6 and I subtract 2, I'm moving to the left 2 when I'll be at negative 8. Or you can think of it as money. If someone borrows $6 from you, then they borrow 2 more, then now they borrowed $8. But in any case, moving forward to the final step, to multiply or divide. In this one, we're going to divide because it's the opposite of multiplication. Anytime you see a number in front of a variable, that means you're multiplying. So the opposite of multiplying is to divide. So x equals negative 8 divided by 2 is negative 4. And that's how we would solve our first example. For our second example, you see our equation here, 18x plus 24 minus 6x equals 84. So let's start with our steps again. If I look at step 1, eliminate the parentheses. Notice there are no parentheses. I'll move on to the next step. Combine like terms. On this problem, we actually do have like terms because on the left-hand side of my equal sign, I have a positive 18x and a negative 6x. So those would be considered like terms because they have the same variables. Let's go ahead and subtract those. 18x minus 6x would give me 12x plus 24 equals 84. If you're looking at our list of steps, it says get your variables to one side. Well, our variable's already on one side of the equal sign, so we can move to the next step. Add or subtract. Here's x. Notice I'm adding 24 to it, so you always do the opposite operation. The opposite of adding is subtracting, so I'm going to subtract 24 from both sides. That would give me 12x equals 60. And our final step is to multiply or divide. Since we're already multiplying by 12, we need to divide by 12 to get our final answer. So x is equal to 5. For our next equation, I'm going to work a problem that's a little bit more tricky. Notice the problem written here. 3 times x plus 5 minus 9 equals 2 times x plus 2. So by looking at this example, you can note if we go back to our list of instructions, we will have to actually eliminate the parentheses. So in order to do that, we would do what you call distributing. Distribute is just a fancy way of saying multiply. So what to distribute means that I take the number in front of the parentheses and I multiply it to both of the terms inside the parentheses. So if you notice, I have to do that here with a 3, and I also have to do that again with a 2 on the other side of the equal sign. So once again, distribute just means to multiply. So next I have 3 times x is 3x. 3 times 5 is 15. Bring down that minus 9. 2 times x is 2x. 2 times 2 is 4. So we're here. Since we've eliminated the parentheses, let's look at our next step, which is to combine like terms. Remember, like terms, that's the case when you have the same number, the same type of number on one side of the equal sign. So if you notice here, I had 15 minus 9. I can combine that together by subtracting. So I would have 3x, and then 15 minus 9 is 6. So plus 6 equals 2x plus 4. My third step is to get the variables to one side. Remember I told you earlier, I typically like to move the smaller variable first. So this is my smaller variable, 2x. So I'm going to subtract that because it was positive. So if I had 3 x's and I subtract 2, I now only have 1x. So 1x plus 6 equals 4. If we look at our next step, it says add or subtract. So I'm going to subtract 6 from both sides of the equal sign, and I would have x equals negative 2. So whether you have 1x or just x, those both mean the exact same thing. I'm going to show you one more example, and then that'll be it. Alright, so my final example is 5 parentheses x plus 3 plus 9 equals 3 parentheses x minus 4 plus 6. So this looks pretty challenging, but let's go ahead and tackle this bad boy following those 5 steps that I gave you. First, eliminate the parentheses. In other words, distribute. I have a couple of places I need to distribute. Here on the left side of the equal sign, and then here on the right side of the equal sign. So if I were to do that, remember distribute just means to multiply. So this will be 5x plus 15 plus 9 equals 3x minus 12 plus 6. Moving on to our next step, combine like terms. We have some like terms right here, 15 plus 9, and then right here, negative 12 plus 6. So I have 5x plus 15 plus 9 is 24 equals 3x, and then negative 12 plus 6 is negative 6. So since we've already eliminated the parentheses and combined like terms, we would move on to the next step, which is to get your variable to one side. Remember what I told you, I typically move the smaller variable first. So I have a 3x and a 5x, so I'm going to move the 3x by subtracting. Since it's positive, I know I need to subtract to cancel them out. So 5x minus 3x is 2x plus 24 equals negative 6. Moving on to our fourth step, we add or subtract. Since this is positive, we always do the opposite and subtract. So I'm going to subtract 24 from both sides. And then I'm going to have 2x equals negative 30. Finally, our final step is to multiply or divide. So I'm going to divide both sides by 2, and x is equal to negative 15. So I hope this was a nice review for you, and I hope that you copied all the notes. If not, go ahead, pause this, rewind it, look back at all the notes, and have them copied down. Thanks, have a good day.